first, before I start, forgive me if I start crying. I might look tough, but I'm very soft in the heart. My brother here, he mentioned somebody's name. Wallah, I came here, I don't know what to say. Truly. Brother Muazzam, he said, please come, you know, and if you feel like you can say something to enlighten the people, go ahead. If you don't, you know, don't worry about it. You know, I spent some times with Ruhail, and actually I spent some times next to Ruhail, cells next to each other for a while. And he told you guys, in Shabab Khan, it was hell compared to Guantanamo. As he said, it was a walk in the park. You know, he used to get a whole toilet roll by himself. Well, he used to get 3 sheets, but he used to give me some more when I needed. He mentioned somebody's name, and wallahi, for all these 20 years, I wondered what happened to these people. And tonight, after more than 20 years, from Brother Yahya Lind or Johnny Walker, as you know, this is recorded especially for you. So I hear the names that I need to know what happened to them. And I couldn't help myself but cry, because I never knew how horribly they got killed. One of them I would like to mention before I tell a little bit of a story what happened to them there, is the brother he mentioned, Farouk. And Ruhail doesn't know Farouk, but actually I know him personally. And actually I know the day he left Kabul to go to Mazar Sharif. I was with him that night, and the reason he left, where definitely nobody knows except very few. Brother Farouk, he was actually one of a very close people to one of the richest people in the world from Saudi Arabia. He's a prince. All of you know him. No need for mentioning name. But when you Google the richest Saudi Arabian, you will know the prince who is so rich. He was one of his buddies, and he was with him for years. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose Farouk to live that type of life, and you know what kind of life he would be living with this man. He left and he came to Afghanistan. Yet that man didn't leave him alone. He sent him somebody, and he wrote him a personal letter, and he wants to give it to him. So he came to the place where I was to hand him the letter. He introduced himself, and he said, I have a message for this guy. Farouk wasn't there at the time. So when he came and he heard that guy is waiting for him, he said, guys, tell him I'm not here and I'm leaving. And he left. And as you hear, he went to Mazar Sharif, and I just find out the way he got killed and the horrific things they did to him, and he lost his jaw, and he is actually was breathing from straws from his nose. I just want you to imagine the soft life, the rich life that that guy was living, and the way he died. But alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept him and accept his deeds. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replace him more than what he left in this dunya. As you know, some survivors that I met in Guantanamo, and actually I heard first-hand stories from some of the brothers that they were in Qala-I-Jangi, and they were in the basement. And I just want to give you a small pictures of those who were dying and those who are trying to help the one who's dying, but yet in the end of the day, a lot of people died trying to save others, and a lot of people left people to die because they hardly could have saved themselves. One of the brothers who I know very closely, he was next to me in the cages in the early days. He said, Wallahi, Shaker, we were inside the basement, and as the brother says, they used all kinds of methods. They tried to burn them with the diesel. They tried to bomb the whole basement. Then they tried to flood them and electrocute them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect them. But imagine all that mixture. And then when they got flooded, there was a lot of the brothers who were very much injured and they cannot do nothing. So when the flood came, this brother who I had talked to me, he said, I started lifting the brothers who's injured, who's his close friend. And you know, he's holding him as much as he can. Because he knows if he let go, he's gonna just collapse. So slowly, slowly lifting him up, leaning on the walls, trying to help each other to stand up so he can keep his head above the water. But unfortunately, you know, you can do so much. He said, Wallahi, brother, in night, I have to let his head go out of my hand. He couldn't hold it anymore. So he have to let his head go. And he said, I was just watching him, his head going under the water. And the bubbles comes and he just stayed underneath. Imagine that. Imagine that picture. And this has happened to a lot of the brothers. A lot of the people who drowned, they drowned like that. Because they couldn't even hold their brothers to keep him above the water. This is one of the incidents that happened there. And when you hear that, you just see how horrible these people. Another incident similar to that, for the people that also Brother Raoul mentioned in the container. And this brother who survived also the containers, which is another person, after they start shooting at them, definitely everybody got different containers got different shooting. You know, some of them, as they say, they shot in the bottom and they killed a lot of them. And you know, everybody tried to survive. Everybody tried to stand up. But it was so crowded that in the end of the day, people start climbing on each other. And each person trying to just get to one of these bullet holes, just to suck some air, just to breathe, because people are falling. And in the end of the day, same thing happened, that people start standing on each other so they can reach to the hole to breathe and survive. While actually they were outside the Northern Alliance, they were laughing and joking until get the order to open the doors, because the banging faded away and there's only a few people who still survived. And also the drinking of the sweat, because that, you know, it was so condensed and so hot that the sweat started dripping from the ceiling. And wallahi, some of these brothers, they just go and sit and try to get those drops so they can drink it. Some others, as the brother says, they were cutting pieces of their clothes and wiping the walls of the containers so they can drink it and survive. I want all the brothers and the sisters here think about this and remember. I want you to remember one thing before anything. Wallahi, these people, they're doing it in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They haven't gone there for no land, no money. They didn't go there for anything of this dunya things. Because a lot of these people, alhamdulillah, they were wealthy back at home. They had everything. But yet, when they hear what happened in Afghanistan, they went to help. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of them. But we need to understand and listen from the history of the world. The Qala-I-Jangi or Dasht-I-Leili, which is the area where they got killed, around 9,000. Allahu A'lam, you know, there is no time, but it's a long story. But all these brothers from Taliban who got killed because they choose to show their good intentions. And when they went to meet with the Dostum and his followers, Wallahi, Mullah Amir al-Mu'mineen, he said, do not take no weapons. So they understand that we are not coming for war. They went all the way to that area so they can see that we want peace. But that's the price they paid, that they all got killed. Not a single one came back alive. And most of these people, they were actually memorizer of the Quran. Because the whole deal that Dostum made, that send those people, let them teach us our deen, let them teach us the Quran. And then they massacre all of them. Those, as I said, those munafiqeen, those people whose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised, they are the worst in hellfire. They will be in the bottom of hellfire. It's an incident that happened, but it's happening again and again and again, and it keep happening, and it will happen again. From the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, these munafiqeen worked against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In Mecca, in Medina, everywhere, through the whole history. Alhamdulillah, the Muslim, they've never been defeated by the Crusaders or by anybody, any force from outside. It's always those munafiqeen who open the doors for them, those munafiqeen who betray their own people and let them go inside this body of the ummah and then do all the work from the inside. So we need to understand and we need to learn from the history of the Muslim ummah that these munafiqeen is the worst of a human being can be. And we have to be careful of them. And we have to do the best to avoid from these munafiqeen to do their damage to the ummah. Because we know they are everywhere. They are among us in every aspect of our life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from them. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala get rid of them from our ranks and our saf and our groups, inshaAllah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wallahi, may Allah blind their eyes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala close their ears. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala show us an ayah on these people and protect all of us, inshaAllah, from them. Jazakum Allah khair.